Hi everyone, welcome to Local Stack. I'm Nancy, and today we are joined with Kevin from KnowBe4. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kevin. Can you start by telling us more about you and KnowBe4?
Sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me. So my name is Kevin Breton, and I work at KnowBe4. I was the VP of engineering over a team called KCM, um, which is where we first introduced LocalStack. I'm now transitioned to software architect at the company, and we're introducing LocalStack to more and more projects here.
Awesome, awesome. Can you tell us more about KnowBe4?
Sure. KnowBe4 is a security awareness training company. We do training for compliance reasons to basically help people be the front line of defense against phishing attacks and other security vulnerabilities. Most of the attacks come from a user who took some action. And they basically should be trained and know before. We also do phishing simulations and basically try to train corporate environments to be better at security awareness.
Wow, that's really awesome. I think like security is really important, especially we have heard so many social engineering attacks in the past, and this just makes me feel that it's super important. And KnowBe4 is doing really great work. So can you tell us more about KnowBe4? That what was the scenario and why did you choose local stack for KnowBe4?
Sure. The first project was a project called KCM, which was a monolithic PHP application that was several years old. So we came in to refactor it, and we took a serverless initiative, lambdas, AWS. It was running on Fargate EC2 instances. And so to be able to develop faster and iterate faster, we chose LocalStack. Currently, we would have to make any change, we'd have to do a commit. We'd have to wait for the build pipeline to finish, and then basically try to do the deployment pipeline out to AWS to be able to test, let's say, one line of code change. And that took a long time. Being able to use LocalStack, and we went from 20 minutes for the deploy to maybe seconds to be able to write some code, iterate on it, redeploy it, iterate on it really quickly.
That's really great. And I can imagine like migrating from monolithic can be really hard. And so yeah, so I would like to hear from you, like what's the feedback from your engineers? How do you think it has helped your engineers?
So it's been great. So at first it seems daunting to basically take on a new project and to get started, but to put in the groundwork. And what I've learned is that the team absolutely loved it. In the beginning, they were developers and maybe a little bit fearful of the infrastructure as a code. They relied more on SRE or the DevOps team to do a lot of that for them. But using LocalStack, it allowed them to, play with it, get used to it, and develop their skills. Whereas out in AWS, maybe permissions was an issue from blocking them from doing something, but locally they had full control. And so that was a great learning curve to get over it. And the team is much more productive and independent.
So we can say that it has immensely helped you in the testing and development feedback loop.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Again, speed and iterations is right there. We're able to run our unit tests locally and basically get everything coverage passing, and before we even get it out to our Git environment for the pipelines to run.
Kevin, can you tell us exactly some instance that you have faced a challenge during the process of migration and local stack really helped you at that moment? Do you have some instance?
Sure. So we spun up basically a lot of the things that we're going to do. Let's say file uploads. We're able to use the S3 service, pre-signed URLs, stand up API gateway, and do full end-to-end testing locally without having to write our own mocks or anything like that. So it worked really well. We were able to use Terraform, AWS CLI, and that to be able to actually deploy locally, just like out in another cloud, and run end-to-end tests locally.
So that's really helpful. And what do you think, what value local stack could bring to KnowBe4 development and testing process?
Sure. I think iteration speed, as I said before, but there's also AWS cost. So instead of having developers having their own account or environment set up and always running, let's say their containers or serverless functions out in the cloud, now you're running locally and you can iterate much, much faster.
That's really awesome. So Kevin, what do you see ahead about KnowBe4 and local stack? What future do you see?
Sure. We're transitioning to, in the other products here, event-driven architecture. So we're going to leverage other services such as EventBridge and other targets off of their event rules, and then working locally, things of that nature. So we're going to continue to expand the development of LocalStack here.
And do you have anything to say to the new users or community about LocalStack so that it can help them if they're getting started with LocalStack?
Sure. If you're suffering from long CI/CD pipelines and the deployment and trying to iterate faster, I think LocalStack is great. There is the initial ramp up period of having to set up the environment. But some of the things that we learned, in one instance, we were using AWS CLI to create the environment where the infrastructure is code locally. We had Terraform for our AWS environment, but things like CodePilot basically would start writing the code for us. It was amazing. So instead of trying to figure out the AWS CLI, CodePilot was essentially starting to write some of our code. So that was a recent find, and that would really, really sped things up even more. We've also used Terraform to deploy to LocalStack, and so that getting the same Terraform in both environments is getting closer and closer. So it is worth it. The speed to go through in development and turnaround time is super fast.
That's amazing, Kevin. Is there anything which you would like to see in LocalStack in future? Yeah.
I would love to be able to have the same infrastructure as a code locally as we do in the cloud, or similar, so that there's little variations. I think that would even make the teams go super fast. But right now, we kind of maintain two different sets of infrastructure as a code. They're very similar in nature, but we do have to spend a little bit of the time. I also want to add that the support has been fantastic. The last ticket I opened up, I believe, was fixed in about 2 hours. So the turnaround time has been great.
Wow, Kevin. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us. And where do we find if anyone is interested in KnowBe4? So how should they contact you or KnowBe4?
Sure. You can hit me up on LinkedIn or go to knowbe4.com. We have our own engineering blog that we'd love to have you visit, and we're always hiring. Looking for good talent.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.